Welcome, everybody.
Well,
Hope everybody's having a good evening.
How's it going?
Shieldwall,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. I say it every time, almost every stream, but that intro is fire, man. It's one of the best intros on the internet. It's just so good
just magnificent.
Thank you.
because it
Glorious.
shows like everything that the channel's about right there in that, all those great movies.
Old movies, new movies.
Yeah. But I'm glad I could make it today. I had a lot of stuff going on, so I almost didn't. But glad to be here. And then I find out that Cajun Corey's on here, so I get to be on the stream. It's pretty awesome.
Even though we already met in person.
Yeah, we did, but it's all good. And yeah, so this is a great movie. I like it. I was excited to see it. I saw it in the theaters when it first came out way back in '94, and it was a packed theater. So, and I paid $7 for the ticket, which was pretty expensive back then because the average was like $4.
Yeah,
and popcorn was like $5.
This is right when movie ticket prices were shooting up big time.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad to be here and be on stream with you guys.
Yeah, glad you can make it. Hello, Mando.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Doing
are
all
you
right.
doing?
Besides a little flimmy flim, because that time of year where the weather's like, I want to be bipolar at the moment. I'm gonna be 30. No, it's gonna be 70. No, it's gonna be 60. No, 40.
No, it's going to be 30 in the morning and 70 in the afternoon. But that's
That
how it
too,
is here in
that too.
Tennessee. It's weird. I drove home with my windows down. Makes no sense.
What's up,
Jacob, you're
Matt?
muted.
What's going on?
Not a lot. Not a lot of my capital Heliopolis as I rule over my masses here.
Yes.
Quiet evening. Although it's classic New Jersey weather. I needed heat for 4 straight days. Now I need the air conditioning.
You gotta keep those the slave labor in check. Building those pyramids.
I have my sub gods out there now. Cracking the whip. So
What's up, Beard? What's going on?
Hey, not a whole lot. Had a pretty decent day. Worked a little bit on a pickup truck. Still have to work on a mower after this stream so I can use it tomorrow. So yeah, pretty average day for me. Looking forward to talking about this. I really enjoy this movie and absolutely love the show that it led on to. But I'm going to try to stay on topic, like I said back in the back room, and not
I've
just
never
veer
seen
off
the
onto
show,
the show.
so I've only seen the movie.
Yeah.
Me too, Mando.
And for the first time, Cajun Corey. What's up, man?
Hello.
Glad you'd come on.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It's the first time I watched this movie, so. And
Good.
It was a good movie.
I always enjoy the people that it's the first time watch. So this will be good.
Yeah,
Have you ever
usually
seen the
that's
TV
usually
show?
Yeah.
Corey, have you ever seen the TV show?
No. But I've heard of the shows.
Yeah, cool. Let's say hello to the chat real quick. And first up is Stephen Ransom. Hello, sir. What's going on? Got a new person in the chat too. Molly's mom. Welcome. Glad you could come hang out with us. Here's Zax. What's up, Zax?
What's up, Zach?
Welcome.
What's up, Zax?
The angry Canadian.
There's no other way to be Canadian. You
No.
gotta be angry.
The angry Canadian did a thing with Wakazashi's Tea House on the new Godzilla -1. So yeah, I recommend you check that out. It's pretty good.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I gotta watch that because I can't wait for that movie to come out.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be a
But
good one.
speaking of which, that leads me to my biggest pet peeve with this movie. It's not the movie; it's the two jerks who made it. They made this movie, then they made Independence Day, which I love. Then they made a movie I despise. It's on my top 5 most despised movies of all time, which is Godzilla 1992, or Gino, as we call it.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah. And
Wait, the one with
That was
who was
bad.
in it? Was that the one with Matthew Broderick in it?
I had great hopes because John
Yeah.
Reno was in it.
Yeah.
That guy's an amazing actor, and he was only
Oh yeah. That one was garbage.
like
Garbage.
he's the only reason
It
you
was-
can watch
I don't
it
know
is
what
John
they were
Reno's
thinking with
part,
that
you
one.
know?
It was basically Jurassic Park dinosaur. There wasn't nothing Godzilla about it at all.
Yep. But these two
So,
guys did
Cannoli?
this great movie Stargate, right? Then they do Independence Day. Then they destroy us all with Godzilla. Then they get back on form with the Patriot, right? And then after that, it's all downhill. Like you know, I don't know. These two guys antagonize me now. I don't know.
So I think what we figured out is, Jacob, you need to review that Godzilla movie and bring Matt back.
Oh, no.
Subject him to it.
I will unleash the
I mean,
wrath
there
of
are people
Theopolis
who
upon
did
you.
like that Godzilla movie.
My 5-year-old brother, who I took to see it because we were both anticipating it, says, Matt, he couldn't say my T's yet. He goes, Matt, not Godzilla. Let's go home.
It had no personality. Real Godzilla, you can look at its face and into its eyes, and you can see like it has a soul, right? I don't know if it's the transference of in the old days it used to just literally be a dude in a suit, but this that was such a it's such a terrible movie. Even like the old like 60s ones where it's obviously a guy in a suit is better.
Yeah.
It was garbage.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Corey? The 98 Godzilla?
Yeah, I think so.
It had Matthew Broderick in it, and
So I don't
I'll be-
remember it much. It's a long
I'll be-
time ago.
I'll be
It had a giant
honest.
velociraptor in it.
It I enjoyed
what
it
that thing
because I
was.
was going through a dinosaur phase in general for a very long time, and I'm like, oh, giant lizard destroying things. Yeah,
Kaiju are not dinosaurs.
I
who
understand
was it
that
the
now.
rapper?
I didn't. I was like, so this came out in '98. I was like, God,
Puff
I
Daddy.
was like 5 or
Was it Puff
6,
Daddy?
7.
Puff
Daddy
Daddy
in
did,
that
yeah.
movie?
He covered a Led
he-
Zeppelin song.
Well,
Yeah.
Amanda, I know dinosaurs scare you now, especially a roller coaster.
That is different. That is different. That is very different.
And
Riding the Velocicoaster in Universal will take your soul. It will rip your soul out of your body, shove it back in, and then shake you up a little bit.
But Mando, you're a redhead. You ain't got no soul.
What little soul that I did have left immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never gonna let you live that down.
I didn't know they let gourds go on field trips, but I can't imagine where you went, Gord King, that you were exposed to both Stargate and Star Trek on the same day on a field trip. Maybe you go to like a space museum.
Can I go to your school? Like, bro, that's a nice school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Copa. Gray's too big to talk to any of us anymore, right?
Yeah, he is.
Living over there in Japan.
Japan.
Giant.
That's where the real Godzilla is from, though.
This is true.
That's why they moved there. He moved there to see the real Godzilla.
Mhm.
Jacob, is this
It's
the
like looking for
regular
pictures.
or extended?
This is the extended.
Yeah, I can tell by the running time.
Yeah,
Unless
I
there's,
already
like,
watched the regular.
commercials or
So
something. Yeah, that's all right. We'll be able to. Matt will be able to comment on it, I'm sure.
Yes. So plus the music to this movie is great.
It really is. I mean, it does kind of go a little bit too extra in some scenes, but it has that feel kind of like, not even like a sci-fi flick, but like the old adventure films. Like it kind of like brought that kind of energy to the movie for me.
It is a throwback to the pulp stories, basically. The same way Indiana Jones is, or Buckaroo Banzai was, and all that. That's sort of
Buckaroo Banzai, man. That was,
yeah.
That's bringing back memories. It's up there with Puppet Master.
Well, that 1980 period was when this is early 90s. There was a big revival of interest by directors and writers in the old pulp stuff. Even all like there was new series of Doc Savage novels that came out. Remo Williams published the next 40 volumes of its series in like the late 80s and all that. And even the James Bond novels kind of came just after the pulp. There was a big resurgence in James Bond.
Did you say Remo Williams?
Remo Williams, yeah.
Yeah, I remember they had an 80s movie.
That was based on an old pulp hero called The Destroyer, Remo Williams. Yeah. There's I think there's 140 novels of Remo Williams now.
Yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, Corey, it's a little chaotic when we get started talking.
But this is a great throwback, like in the sense, like going back to the pulp era. so people understand the reference of why this comes up. This notion of ancient aliens that started back like in the 60s and whatever, whether people were contending. If you heard the original Battlestar Galactica, there was some of this too. That kind of grew out of the fictional time in the pulp heroes. They fought the World War II German socialists, and after that they fought the Red Threat. But on the side, they also fought aliens and lost civilizations. So, 20 years later, people start saying, well, there were really ancient civilizations that, and aliens,
Yeah, so the composer to this was David Arnold. He did a bunch of James Bond movies and what else? He did Independence Day and the Bad Godzilla movie. So
he worked with these two guys on a lot of stuff, I think.
Sorry.
Yeah, he did. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I love this opening too, where like you can't quite tell what they're showing until they zoom out.
And I won't go crazy mentioning differences with the show. I'll just point out a couple of the significant ones here or there.
Hang on, guys. I'm gonna. Oh, come on. Where is it? There it is.
Your hubris.
Come on. Okay, stay.
Why does that face look like the eyes are crossed?
That face is based on the actual statues of what's his name? He was the pharaoh that changed the religion, and then
Akhenaten.
Yeah, Akhenaten.
Akhenaten,
Yep.
yep.
And then
Okay.
he like changed the religion. He moved the capital, all this stuff. And then when he died, everyone was like, "Screw that! We're going back to the old ways." And they moved everything back the way it was.
Yeah, it was either him or Imhotep. I did a little study of ancient Egyptian history for a little bit. So.
No, this is totally because he had like really weird features. Like his face was real long,
like an alien.
Kind of, yeah. And yep. And then the reason Tutankhamun got he got a kind of a crappy fast burial, but the reason it had so much riches in it is that everybody was happy that he was the one that brought it back to normalcy.
Give me a second, guys. I'm going to have to open this up. It's skipping way too far. So I'm going to...
So that's going on.
And technically, I think it's pronounced Tutankhamun. Like, there's like something, like a weird way to say Tutankhamun, not just the normal...
Yeah.
So the common toot.
Like woman.
Sorry, guys.
So we view a lot of these ancient religions kind of after the fact in their consolidated forms, right? So, like you might notice, Atum Mat, which is a playoff of Atum Ra. Well, Egypt was around a long time, and a lot of different cultures it sort of absorbed. So, like, what happened, and the Greeks and Romans kind of did this too. As the religion sort of got absorbed by the bigger culture, they would merge similar gods. Like Atum, Aman, and Ra were all the Skyfather gods, right? Atum and Ra were both associated with the sun, so you have Atum Ra, right? But another translation was Aman Ra because they were the Skyfather gods and so forth, right? So a lot of the after the fact, that's why some of the Egyptian gods have multiple names. For example, it's not really that they were multiple names; that they were different gods who were almost identical and they got merged in.
There we go.
Yeah, 8,000 BC.
Yeah.
Years that Roman was born, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit before then, I think.
Oh, Roman was just born. We can see his little baby.
Actually, I
in the
think
corner.
he just graduated high school.
Oh,
Okay, my bad.
Well,
My bad.
Interesting thing about this date, right? Up until recently, I'm talking of the last 20, let's say 35 years or so, this would have been previous to known human civilizations, right? But now they've found some cities like Göbekli Tepe, which is 11,000 years old, and another one in northern Turkey that's at least 8,000 years old. That shows that human civilization is even older than this purported time in the movie, so to speak.
Right. Kind of like that movie 10,000 BC.
Yeah.
Which is another bad movie that I like.
Which they did, by the way.
That was terrible.
I believe these two guys did.
But I really like it. I don't know why. I just thought it was fun.
It's okay to like bad movies. I mean, if they didn't do that horrible Godzilla film, I probably would be okay with them.
Yeah. So, if I recall, this was in the theatrical release. This part here,
less of it was. There was
right.
It was cutscene like.
Yeah, it wasn't as long.
Yeah.
And the reason they cut some of this out was they realized they wanted to hide the aliens a little more, like for the theatrical version.
Also, a bunch of the stuff I read is they cut a bunch of this for time.
Time too, but you know.
Nowadays they'd pad it and add to it.
Oh, yeah, there'd be like 16 action sequences, and you know, they'd be driving like a stone
like an
tank.
8-hour-long movie.
Nah, they just have like 20-minute scenes of talking.
Yeah.
You'll have a kung fu fight with Ra or something on the top of the pyramid.
That would
go up and down the sides of the pyramid for an hour. It's, you know.
Yeah, show them building the pyramids.
Right.
Oh, the good old days when the guy's daughter could just pick up an artifact and run off with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
That's how they rolled back then. Literally cracking stuff open. Hey, we just found this box. I wonder what's in it.
In defense of what happened there, even the Egyptians did that.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, Egyptians, like regular people, look for stuff and just take it. You know?
Yeah, this too, they cut this out too. It actually shows like some mummified guards or something.
Yeah,
right.
that scene, and then later they had a scene back in where O'Neill looks at it.
Because it was,
right.
there it is. Because they buried the Stargate so that nobody could come through, and these guys tried to come through, and this is what happened to them because of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Oh, and to be clarified,
they
think the humans think these are fossilized aliens because of the way they look. When it's actually the properties of the Stargate that caused them to be like that, where they're now like. In other words, this is the shape of them is kind of like you know how the people when Mount Vesuvius erupted, the bodies were completely gone, but it was like a mold over their shape. So this is like a mold over their shape, so they can't tell that that's not an actual head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's more like a fossil.
Not a fossil, like more like the people, the victims of the Vesuvius.
Oh, where it's like a void or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pompeii.
Now, the actress that plays the old lady or the little girl
Catherine.
is Viveka Linsfors. She was Swedish, and I looked her up just to see, like what movies she'd been in and stuff. Man, was she smoking hot when she was young?
Yep.
So
nothing wrong with that, with the little eye candy. Well, everyone gets their eye candy.
Yeah.
Now we get Daniel Jackson.
It is kind of funny that in reality, when someone brings up something that like archaeologists, if it's contrary to what they've been taught, they can ridicule people. That's kind of accurate to reality.
Yeah.
That's not just archaeologists. Like I went to school.
No.
Yeah, in the sciences in general, they're like anything that defies orthodoxy must be considered wrong to the ethical.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
I mean, they ridiculed Einstein when he came up with special relativity, which is probably the general relativity.
I do find it interesting with this scene. It's like my memory kind of lied to me, and it's probably tainted because of the TV show. Is I remembered this being much more about the aliens built the pyramids when he's actually just saying that they're older than we think they are. He's not actually making that extreme of a claim.
Saying.
Right. Yeah. Well. Okay. So in the extended version, it or they cut it, but it's supposed to be a lot longer, and he's supposed to talk about those things. So they put that in the TV show. When Daniel Jackson is in a TV show, he's getting ridiculed, like you're remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important in the TV show. His grandfather was involved in the early start. Like his family's known for this ancient alien stuff in the TV show.
Wasn't his? But his grandfather was like a pariah too, right?
Yeah, for the same thing.
Yeah.
And his grandfather also knew about the Stargate being discovered and all that.
Right.
Man, those poor Air Force officers being forced to stand out in the rain so she can talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
At least
interestingly,
they have umbrellas.
I mentioned this before, but this is also right around the time that Dr. Robert Schoch, who's a PhD geologist and geophysicist, discovered the weathering on the Sphinx had to have been caused by ancient rainfall of
Erosion.
Yeah, not by sand. So I'm betting these two guys, Emmerich and Devlin, were all in on this whole thing going on. So we can make a movie out of this concept, the pulp stuff, and all that. You know.
She's like, here's your traveling plans.
It's like, yes, you're going to come with me. I don't even know who you are. You're going to come with me anyway.
This part of the this kind of mirrors like a lot of other great stories, like almost like Indiana Jones, right? They need to go get the doctor that knows about it because they found this thing and they want him to go look into it. Or we found these aliens. We don't know how to communicate with them. We got to go get this person that knows and get them. So it's almost like the start of the hero's journey, where there's a quest that people come get you for.
He's the expert that they didn't they realize they may need.
And they just tease just enough information to get his attention.
Right. And it often in stories like this, it starts out as something simple, like, I just need you to come look at this thing real quick. And you're like, okay, I'll only be gone a day, dear. And it turns into this giant Odyssey type story,
Oh, and
I'll only be gone a moment.
And nobody believes him, too. Everybody looks down on him. And
I think this sequence, when they just introduce O'Neill without really saying hardly anything to him, is done really well. They don't need to. They don't actually even need that line later on, in my opinion, where the officers say to each other that his kid shot himself with his gun. At least to me, I definitely get that without that line.
Right, and his kid shot himself accidentally, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't like trying to, unalive himself because he had problems. He just did it on accident.
And I like the kind of like ambiguousness of him sitting there with that Beretta. Is that the gun that his son used, or is he going to off himself? So it kind of later on we definitely can see that he doesn't really want to continue on, but I like that it's maybe both. Maybe it's the same one, and he is planning on using it.
So the fact that he has long hair, could either mean two things: that he just came back from some kind of covert mission, or he's been off, like on leave or medical leave or something for so long because of what happened, or a combination of the two. Because if you're an Air Force officer, you can't walk around with long hair like that.
Yeah, I think they even say you've been reactivated.
Right.
Yeah. That's what they came to tell him.
Okay.
Well, that could legally mean he's been retired, but he's been recalled to service at the order of the president. Like this.
Right. Yeah. That might be it too. That could also.
I always took it to mean that he had retired, and that the tragedy that happened in his family had happened recently, but maybe wasn't the reason that he left.
Yeah, that could be true. We could. It's all that's a very valid interpretation. Yeah. Before we go on, I want to point out one more thing. Kurt Russell is a very underrated actor. There's a skill that actors have, and if you want to see a great example of it, it's actually from pro wrestling. Undertaker and Triple H had a silent promo, no fighting, no talking for like 5 minutes, where they just acted out their intent, and and you could tell entirely what's going on. Russell didn't say a single word for that 30 seconds or whatever, and we could figure out exactly what happened. Just by his body language and the movement and the angling.
Yeah. So much can be brought to you by not saying anything.
Yeah.
That's a lost thing in Hollywood right now. They have to explain everything.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it
Because
simple.
you, as the audience, are not smart enough to figure it out.
How are you supposed to virtue signal without saying anything?
Without words.
If I recall correctly, it's a different mountain in the show.
Yeah, it's Cheyenne
It is.
Mountain.
That's
This
Cheyenne
is
Mountain.
this is not Cheyenne Mountain. This is not the NORAD place. This is hold on. I'm trying to figure out. It's a different place. It's something mountain.
Yeah, I assumed that they just kind of had to make something up because they didn't really kind of get, at least as far as I know, the show got in really
This
good
is
with the Air
Creek Mountain.
Force. Okay.
And then it changed to Cheyenne Mountain in the TV show.
Yeah, I don't know that Roland Emmerich had any great, because they certainly didn't have it with Godzilla. The military did not like Godzilla either. So
The military doesn't like anything that's not controlled by the military. If we're just being like honest.
no, there's movies and shows like the TV show. The military helped out with a lot because they respected what they were doing. You know, so you got a lot of like behind the scenes guidance, like, well, they wouldn't do this or that, whatever. You know,
I can attest to that. They at the Air Force Ball in 2001, they made O'Neill, what's his name, Richard Dean Anderson, an honorary brigadier general because of what he'd done for like the show and how they portrayed everybody as professional and competent and moral and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I don't really think that this movie portrayed the military in really that much of a negative light at all.
No, but it came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like Emmerich and Devlin had no reputation to get in with the military to begin with. You know what I mean? Whereas for the TV show, this movie existed, showed them professional and whatever.
Right.
So the show guys were like, "Hey, we had this movie turned into a TV show. We want to show the military in a good fashion and all that." And
and it had James Spader in it. So
he's awesome.
Yeah.
Who I just found out glancing at stuff online hated this script and just acknowledged that he was doing it for a paycheck.
Oh, man.
Wow. Well, he did a really good performance for just phoning it in then.
Yeah. Well, I assume he didn't phone it in. Based on what I was reading, he kind of says that acting is his passion, but he also recognizes it as a job. And so I assume even with something he was just doing for a paycheck, he's at least going to put half of his effort into it.
Yeah, he's one of those actors who will always show up at A game. Unless it's a B, like a C grade film, then he'll do like a Christopher Lee and just camp it up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he was great in Blacklist. Well, at least for the first few seasons, it kind of fell off, but it was a good show up to like the third or fourth season.
We can do a whole other show on that Shieldwall.
I know.
I love how he just saunters in and immediately starts correcting everything that they've worked years on.
Important to know, different from the show to mute show. This Daniel Jackson is a pure genius. All sciences, physics, astronomy. Like, he has the whole collection in his head. He's like a 200 IQ. So when he sees this stuff, he has like 17 languages in his head, all processing at once. And like, like he recognized the word Stargate because he's thinking in terms of physics already. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he's open. Like that's probably just like an ancient Egyptian language translator. The other guy who might not know, ancient Greek and ancient Norse language and all that. Like Daniel Jackson was like a pure top level genius with this stuff, which is why you get the explains the leap of logic for what we find out in the next scene. And they took a lot of that away from Show Jackson, but added some of it back near the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Supposedly, those hieroglyphs on that chalkboard are like legit.
Some of them are. I'm not enough to tell you it definitely is, but I've seen enough Egyptian stuff over the years to recognize some.
This thing I read, it said that they brought an Egyptologist in to make sure that they were right.
So he's like, "No, this is classified." It's like,
This is all classified. Everything is
know,
classified.
and you don't
Even
need to
your
know.
name is classified.
Okay, in this movie, Kurt Russell's character knows what's going on.
I love
not
the haircut.
like Big Trouble in China.
I love the haircut he adopts after to cut his hair short.
Yeah.
Well, that's
what Guile
that's
from
a
Street
hair
Fighter?
that's in regulation. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's regulation
it's a flat
haircut.
top.
Yeah.
even that long?
Yeah, there's a
It's
height
pushed in.
requirement, and it's also when groomed. So you can put product in your hair to like
Mhm.
groom it down. So when it's combed, then it has to be within regulation. But I mean,
Oh.
the way the sides are and the back, yeah, that's fine. It's at probably the maximum for the height, but it still looks all right.
I just love the Frankenstein haircut, man. It's like,
Oh yeah, so there's I guess this is the part right where the Air Force starts stepping in and basically just taking over, right?
Yeah.
Right, but you have to think
And we're
about
sure this is. I forget. Is this for sure the Air Force? I thought it was
Yeah,
for
it's
some
the Air
reason just the
Force.
Army.
no, it's the Air
Okay.
Force.
Yeah, Air Force.
Because it deals with space
Yeah.
is why.
Yeah.
Now, today it would be the Space Force,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't bring other people as like a joint thing. It's just under the
Mhm.
auspices of the Air Force because this facility belongs to the Air Force is
Mhm.
another thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And out of except for the Navy, out of all the other services, the Air Force is the most like scientifically minded.
Mhm.
So
So he's like, yeah, I'm here in case you succeed. So he's like,
Mhm.
he's going through. But then it shows I think it shows it here. Oh, maybe not.
It's where I think this added scene where he walks in and looks at the cover stone.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's like just getting
So-
water and sees the newspaper and is like, that kind of looks familiar.
so that is the constellation Orion that he sees on the paper, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, if you pause this for a second, this is also right around the time. So, for those who've never seen the three Great Pyramids at Giza, right? They seem like they're in a straight line, but they're not. They're actually like one, two, any two of them are in a line, and one is off at a slight angle. And someone noticed years ago, around this time, coincidentally, that the belt of Orion, which is one of the farthest points away from us in the sky, it's also called the Great Attractor for some reason. I can explain later if you want. Is the exact layout of the Great Pyramids at Giza. And now there was an extended hypothesis from that found some other artifacts that seemed to correspond to the stars. The ancient Egyptians would have seen various pyramids, but that's not proven. They have, however, proven it. The angle that one of the pyramids is off is the same angle as the belt of Orion. And the Orion, the constellation, it's like one of the farthest points away from us in the sky. It's called the Great Attractor because everything we observe seems to be moving towards it.
So you're saying there's aliens there?
Well, there could just be a tremendous source of gravity there that we have no conception of yet.
I have to keep telling myself this is a family-friendly channel because I have jokes about taking off Orion's belt.
So he sees that on the newspaper, and that's what gives him the idea.
Yeah, because he's been staring at those characters that he thought they were for, was it a couple weeks now?
The outer ring, basically, the inner ring is standard hieroglyphs. The outer ring is those unidentified symbols.
You know what's weird is the minute that I saw them, I knew they were constellations. Like me, just as a person in the theater, before it even got to this point, like you just saw them, and I was like, "Oh, those are obviously constellations."
Yeah, I couldn't see clearly enough. That was just around when I started wearing glasses. I was like, everything was blurry for about a year around that time.
I'm not a scientist, so I couldn't recognize all that.
Yeah. Oh, and we're about to get there. I don't remember the exact number, but there's like 40 symbols in the show, but 38 in the movie, or vice versa. And the symbol, the home symbol for Earth, is on the disc in the show, but not in the movie. It's not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, just because I was curious, the back of that newspaper says something like "Mystic predicts the death of trees" or something. I don't know why.
Yeah. They probably threw something to that in just for the heck of it.
Yeah. And Jackson here is real rude to the janitorial staff because he just set this coffee cup on a random shelf someplace.
This has nothing to do with this movie per se, but one of my friends who was a military veteran years ago, we were watching, I don't know, some movie in like the 80s or whatever. And he's like, I know those are rental uniforms because if you look at their decorations, they don't make sense. like there's no way you could have gotten some of the, like if you got like the World War II theater badge, you can't have, this other badge. You would have been too old to get it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
I like what
I can forgive that. They look decent enough.
No, he just pointed out. There's a funny thing he pointed out once, and as a layperson who, unless I guess I would never would have noticed something like that.
I like how, and it's kind of displayed here, but earlier Molly's mom said something like she likes how Spader plays Jackson as brilliant, but kind of like naive, or he like basically we see here how he's completely socially inept, doesn't really know how to handle himself around people. But he is the smartest man in the room.
I do like what the general says to him. So you think you figured out in 14 days what they couldn't in 2 years?
I mean, that's why you brought me along.
So he does. It's like they're star constellations.
That one dude there just kind of mad about it.
Yeah, that other dude in the back smoking a bent cigarette.
Well, none of them would have been able to figure it out because they don't have the level of scientific knowledge he does to put it all together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing here, right? These coordinates in the movie are in another galaxy, right?
Yeah.
So when they got to the TV show, someone pointed out that coordinate system wouldn't actually work to get to another galaxy because I will use Godzilla to make a point. Let's say this is like the constellation of Orion, and this is say Pegasus or whatever, and you make a straight line between them in this galaxy. Well, galaxies are actually very far apart. Like if there's Milky Way, this is like my fifth Oscar Andromeda. There's no way you'd ever get these two to line up that way. So in the show, they added an eighth cartouche. Is that what they were calling the show?
Right, cartouche.
Yeah. To get to, so they could travel. So when they eventually got to it, they can use. And each Stargate has different constellations on it, by the way, the outer ring. So they could target from that Stargate, and then they could target other galaxies with the extra coordinate. So you would indicate outside the galaxy versus in and all that. It's kind of fascinating math. I know it's nerdy to go offline or whatever. It's just kind of fascinating that the sort of initial logic they used here and then the corrective logic they used in the show. Like they didn't have to do any of that. You know what I mean? But they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what made it good because they put those touches in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love the reveal here.
The other thing is in the difference between this and the TV show is in the TV show, the Stargates that were on Earth and stuff, you couldn't go to another galaxy just like on. You had to like do something special and have a special power source.
Well, you need an extra power, and you had to know the eighth coordinate to get to the other galaxy.
So most of the Stargates in the show only went into the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were computer networked. This was a Stargate universe thing. Like every galaxy had its own computer network of Stargates, because they actually kind of talk to one another if the DHD was active. So that's how you couldn't send open up a Stargate to the same point from different locations because that would cause a massive explosion. So they would say, "Don't open up here, I got it," and that's how they would lock out a gate so someone couldn't dial in the show because the computer would say, "Don't go."
Oh, right, yeah, because they would activate the gate so that nobody could come through.
Yeah,
but it only for 38 minutes and it auto shut down.
Yep.
I really like how he's just figured everything out and they just hit go on everything.
Mm-hmm.
We got one shot at this and we're doing it right now.
Oh, wait, what's he drawn on there?
Oh yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit. That's where he figures out that's the last symbol. It's just missing the dudes on the side.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how he just marks on the dude's screen. It's like, no, don't
It's
do
like,
that.
Well, it's not a permanent marker. It'd be all right.
Yeah.
There's no regard for any of the equipment or anything.
I mean, I do like this film, but I'm not afraid to poke holes in things. They didn't really know that those were constellations. So they were just guessing that this would like teleport someplace because they already had like a
But haven't
all
they
the
already? They
troops
fired
ready
it
to
up a
go.
bunch of times already, though, right?
Yeah, they had figured
Yeah.
out it's like a dialing thing, but they didn't figure out that it was.
They couldn't get
Yeah,
it
they
to
couldn't
lock
get it to
onto any
connect.
place.
Yeah, they couldn't get it to connect anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, they can see that it was connecting, trying to connect, but it's actually computerized or whatever. They interpreted that, but they couldn't get it to actually because they didn't understand the coordinate system.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of leap to logic with this movie. I agree with that. You know,
Later, Dempsey.
like the biggest leap to logic to me was only sending one remote device through, and no, let's just send a team through. Let's send our elite expert on this.
Just
Let's
send
our top military
everyone
guys,
through. Don't
know.
worry about if they
Yeah.
survive or not.
Best military guys,
No, you don't need to
And
check if there's
a
breathable
nuclear bomb,
atmosphere.
and our top
Well,
expert in
you'll be
device go
fine.
through.
Well, they sent.
Yeah, they sent a drone in first.
Yeah, they sent a probe
Yeah.
through.
One,
Yeah,
they
and
said
that-
one.
Yeah.
It's like,
One of those
Oh,
enough,
and-
apparently.
This first time that it fires up, this looks so good.
You know, they did that with an air compressor in a bucket of water.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but see, I know it's a practical effect, but the compositing that they have to do with to keep the lines on everything looking really good.
So
it's
the
top tier.
part that comes out is just the water, but then the actual like rippling effect on the disc itself, that is CGI. That's
Yeah,
done with
yeah.
computer. And so is when they go through. They had to do like a whole bunch of computer stuff. It was actually, from what I read, they said it was like the hardest technical part of making the movie was doing that part.
Yeah.
back in 92 or 94.
It was 90. It was 93, I think, when they were doing it.
Yeah,
So this is pre
pre
Babylon 5.
Yeah, pre Lightwave 3D. Basically.
Yeah. Yep.
This is back when they need a whole room of mainframes to do Jurassic Park. Like, you think they would have had about 10 or 12 more of those things ready? You know?
Yeah.
Look, you just need one for the movie.
Well, I think
okay?
I don't think that they thought it was actually going to work. I think that's part of the problem. Is like, it's probably not going to work. So,
Well, I mean, they didn't have a meeting; they just went with it too. So, I mean,
Yeah. Sometimes you got to make that audible.
mhm.
Just do it.
Yeah, I thought this was cool too. It's like it's on the other side of the known galaxy.
Universe.
Universe.
Mhm.
Universe.
Yeah.
Sorry. Pardon me.
Yeah, in the movie, it's another. Is that a real galaxy? I don't remember the name of it. What do they call it?
I forget.
I'll look it up.
So this is an M-class planet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, they don't say the name of the planet in the movie, but it is named, I think, in the novelization or whatever. It's called Abydos, after an ancient Egyptian city.
Right.
Yeah.
It's called the Kalium Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's Kalium.
Let's see if that's a real galaxy. Kalium.
Yeah, Kalium.
Yeah, I like this too. He's like,
Hey, it's
"Oh,
real.
I could
No, it may no. Wait, no, it may not be real. Let me double check.
I can translate that. And they're like, are you sure? Positive. And then O'Neill's like, he's full of shit.
mm,
Yeah, that's true. Molly's mom. They would have had all kinds of meetings, and
Yeah.
there'd been been like some kind of panel or something for Congress or whatever. it'd be
the
secret
president
and
would have
stuff.
been on the line. Like, let's hold on before we do anything.
so-
The president must know.
The Kalium
yeah.
galaxy is fictional.
and then figure out how to waste all taxpayer money and
I'm surprised I haven't named a real galaxy after this yet.
Maybe it's coming.
Isn't this part of the extended cut?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was a good addition.
Well, because in the aftermath of the TV show and all that, it would make sense, because you know they're aliens. You know what I mean? Like there's no mystery to watch this 20 years later.
All right.
Yeah, and this is kind of a. Is this considered a MacGuffin? The necklace she gives him?
Maybe, but she does say that it's brought her luck.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be more of a trope than a MacGuffin, because you often get something like, here's a special valuable trinket of mine. You have to come back because you got to bring it back to me, that kind of thing.
It's part of the hero's journey that he's given something like a magic sword or a helmet or something like that is a pivotal part, because later in the movie, that necklace is what allows them to move the story forward.
Right.
Basically, right. By the fact that he has it, people show him deference, and a bunch of other things happen because he possesses it.
You think he's a god,
or affiliated with the gods, at least, to the point where he can ask him to do stuff or whatever.
I forgot to look ahead of time at exactly what all models of firearm were used in this, but it's pretty clear this movie had a contract with HK.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think aside from their sidearms, everything is an HK.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, we've sent one probe through for about 2 minutes of footage. We're ready to go.
We gotta go now.
I think at this time, most of the weapons that they were using, the audience was like, "Oh, I recognize that. That's pretty cool. That's from the SEAL movie or whatever from the 80s and stuff." So,
yeah.
So this shot, this is like him dipping his, or maybe pulling his head out of water, like reverse shot. But
it's a reverse shot. So what he did was he laid in water and then went under it.
Okay, yeah.
And then they just reversed it. That's all.
It was a good way to do it. It looks good.
Yeah.
And this is also the same, I guess, ethical argument you have with Star Trek transporters. Are you still really you if you go through something like this? Because all that's making it to the other side is the information in your body, not any of the energy in it.
Yeah.
Well, does the Stargate work the same as a transporter?
Well, they eventually retconned the transporter to say it actually sends you. It just dematerial. It takes you apart and puts you back together. The original
It'd be rough if something got miscommunicated.
Yeah.
The other side.
Your arms coming out of your back.
Well, that was the premise of the Fly movie, where Fly got in the teleporter with the dude and it mashed their DNA together because it didn't know what to do with it. Whereas I think the transporter specifically designed not to do that.
Well, the transporters, what they do is they break the bonds on your molecules, capture your subatomic particles, and then put those back together down on the planet. That was the retcon to make transporters make you still be you. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Heisenberg compensator, if you remember that episode.
Okay. Yeah. Because, I mean, this is getting off on a tangent, but I always thought, well, why don't you just store people in a pattern buffer and then they never age? Of course, you know what I mean?
In Star Trek, it's a copy of the person. It's a different person. We've seen it multiple times.
Right. With Riker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Stargate, it doesn't do that. What it does is there's a singularity in there. So nothing, mass or energy, can make it through that. Only the information is sent through, and then you rematerialize on the other side.
What are you made out of on the other
side?
Like
the Prestige?
From the energy on the other side. It takes the energy from the other side and uses information to just rebuild you.
Okay.
And you all watch the movie The Prestige?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen that.
Good flick.
That magician movie.
Yeah. I won't run it for People haven't seen it. It's got a good ending.
Yeah, and like R2 pointed out earlier, French Stewart is in this, and I always forget, and it always throws me off. It's like I can't take him serious.
No.
No.
I think they filmed these outside desert scenes, American Southwest.
They did. It was in Arizona. I think it was in Yuma.
It was on Arizona or California, the desert down there. But the Stargate TV show, I think, is all Vancouver, all that.
Oh yeah. Because yep, you can tell by how it is up there.
Now here's an interesting thing. You notice the pyramid has its outer shell there. But whereas the pyramids on our planet have I guess it's the way you have to say it, I guess, right? The pyramids on our planet have had their outer polished shell removed by thieves over the centuries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
R2
all right,
there's
get us home.
Mossberg 500 bullpup shotgun in here too.
Yeah, Yuma, Arizona. Same place where they shot Rambo 3.
Oh, Rambo.
Yeah, so he's breaking the news that he can't get him home.
I don't know where we are.
Only reason he went because he said he can get them back, but he's telling him, well, I gotta find the symbols first.
Well, and I guess that kind of does play into him just not having social skills, because in his head, I'm sure he's thinking, when we get there, I'm going to need to have time to find everything and research, just like I did on Earth. And they're thinking, well, if he needed all this time, he would have told us. We'll just turn around and go back home.
He's task focused, basically. You're saying,
Hey,
whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, you can see it in his head too. It's like, what's the big deal? It's not that big a deal.
Hey, what's up, Roman? Yeah, this stream is right on the edge of really going off on the nerd angle.
Yes. Yeah, he's an alien, actually.
Jackson, he walks up and goes, "Oh, nice tent."
Now
we've all got.
I don't know why they would set up base camp outside there, and not in the structure behind them, which is more fortifiable. I've
always thought that.
Not in the sun, and not, as we're about to see later. I mean, did none of them think there wouldn't be a sandstorm on a desert planet? Like, is that? I mean,
I did think that structure was really cool. Yeah. Again, I don't know why they didn't stay in there. I mean, did they detect radiation or something weird?
It just didn't make any sense. You have a perfect structure to fort up basically in, right? And not be exposed to the desert and the heat. And,
maybe it's because, and I'm stretching here, maybe it's because there's literally no other alternative exit. Maybe they didn't want to have the only one entrance with no way to retreat if they had to.
Right.
But I don't know.
I think it's because they wanted to show off all their cool tents.
I can't see this actor and not think of Third Rock from the Sun.
I know.
Which one?
It doesn't help that he just can't not make the French Stewart face.
Yeah.
And then his voice on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ricky was pointing that out. The black guy gets blown up in Helicopter 94. Right. Yep. He's been other stuff too. We've seen around a lot of stuff.
Also, I'll just go ahead and point out, I think it's ridiculous. I'm not offended on anybody's behalf, but his name is Black in this movie. And he's the first to die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how it's supposed to go. I mean,
it was 94. Nobody even thought of that crap.
Yeah, I know.
I love this. He's going through his pockets. He's so smart, but he's going through his pockets like, what's this? And just throws it away.
He's throwing away everything useful for survival.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that stuff.
That stuff's never heavy. I don't know why.
That might have been a Spader ad lib that they just recorded.
Could be.
To be honest, that flare does look like a pipe bomb. Kind of.
My
Was
biggest
that-
concern would be when I got to that planet and looked around, I'd be like, okay, we need to find water like right now,
Mhm.
because otherwise
Mhm.
we're, unless that little cart thing they brought had like a whole bunch on it.
Well, it couldn't have had too much because it had to make room for a bomb,
Yeah.
Yeah.
a sneaky bomb that nobody else knows about.
Yeah, like how you gonna sneak that over?
You just put it in a case and then the colonel tells nobody to look in it. That's
Yeah.
exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Don't touch it. But what
But
is
you
it?
know-
Don't touch it.
I hate to belabor the point, but I'm not sure I would send a nuclear bomb through with only one probe having gone through and conked out. You know what I
Maybe-
mean? Might want a
Yeah,
little more testing. You know, send a
Yeah,
couple-
that is kind of a high risk solution right there.
Maybe, and this is me reaching, and I've never thought of this before. Maybe that's why it came through in 3 pieces and with the arming mechanism as a separate 4th piece. Maybe like the triggering mechanism and the actual nuclear material were separated during transport.
Oh, yeah, in like different carts or whatever. Yeah,
well, as
totally.
we see in this scene,
Hmm.
he actually has to put it together. It's in
Right,
3
right,
parts,
right,
plus
yeah.
it has the arming mechanism.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm thinking
that makes sense.
it could be.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is still electronic circuits in there, right? What if it scrambled them and you're like, my timer, I'll set this timer up for 6 hours and it goes off 2 seconds later. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. There's an inherent risk because you don't even know if you're going to come out on the other side, like not
Yeah.
spaghettified or something.
Yep.
Or just the power of the gate, as soon as it touches that water side, just detonates.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
So this
I love the
creature is a draft horse underneath there.
Oh, they just threw a costume on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love the
nowadays it'd
practical
be a
animal
crappy-
costumes like that.
Yeah, nowadays it'd be a crappy CGI. It would look terrible. This whole thing would be shot on the volume.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a desert planet, so it might be the one time that it would be okay. You know.
He's like, "Where's Jackson?" And they just ignore him. It's like, you'd think he'd get a little angry at him. Answer my question.
I mean, even if he is jaded and wanted to be retired and got semi-forcefully brought back in, you'd think that as a commanding officer, he would react differently.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Smidgy smidge.
The classic sci-fi trope: if you see something weird you don't understand, don't touch it.
Don't
No,
touch it.
you got to feed it. You have to feed it.
You know what that
Mhm.
thing reminded me of? You guys ever see the movie or the show The Dark Crystal?
Yeah, it looked like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
things from that. Yep.
And some of the animals that were in that show.
Yeah. The four-armed guys that lived in that observatory. or
Yeah,
whatever.
they're called
Yeah.
Urskeks or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, the ones that were opposite of the Skeksis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essence.
I mean, he does point out at least that that it has a harness, so it's domesticated. So I guess that does make sense that you'd be more willing to walk up to something, but still.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can look at it and tell that it's not, it doesn't have like fangs or something.
Nice.
I enjoyed this scene.
Yeah. Also, you would want to follow it because chances are it would lead you to water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, I mean, it probably found water right where those plants are, if you think about it.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And then it licks his face. Ugh.
Ah, gross.
Mhm.
It's just corn syrup.
Still
And you go
gross.
like alien molecular acid or something like that. So they just dissolve.
Ah.
It's how they digest their food by licking it. Yeah.
And you just hear, and you'll go, that's going to be a problem. Damn it.
Yeah, if
And
this was set in the
this-
40K universe, that's exactly what would happen.
This kind of bothers me. This part where they like skyline themselves. Like, hey, look, we're here. It's like I wanted them to like hide or something, but they're just standing up out in the open.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they do that a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few instances in this film where they come upon things like this, where there is a multi-story tall, huge rock formation. And I know they're chasing after a runaway animal that's got their only hope of getting home, but somebody would have seen that sticking up over the hill before that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe that's what they saw, and they went up to the top of the hill.
Oh, okay. Again, I'm poking holes in a film that I really enjoy. I don't have to take it seriously. It's ridiculous.
That's thinking with modern times where they have to explain everything.
Yes,
and show everything.
Look, silhouettes.
There's people up there. Where's our sniper? Sorry.
Take them all out now.
And it's a lot of people, so there's obviously lots of food and water around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the TV show, they even have like a flying drone that they send through, and it like looks for water and all the stuff you'd need before they go through.
They get around to that eventually. They originally start out with something very similar to what we see in this film.
Yeah, they called it the Mount.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd send it through, and it had like a little arm on it, like a bomb disposal robot almost.
Basically, yes. Ah, yes. Look at that classic late 80s, early 90s gun pose that will definitely hit the target you're pointing at.
Mm-hmm.
It'll hit everything around it.
That is the way Kurt Russell holds guns in every movie he's in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember Big Trouble in Little China? They gave him a gun with no bullets,
including Tombstone.
Yeah. Yep.
I just watched this movie and it's like, man, do you guys not know how to shoot a gun?
Wait, wasn't Kurt Russell in Bone Tomahawk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even I think in Soldier, where he plays Todd. If you haven't seen Soldier, movie, he holds the guns that way too.
I mean, you got to look cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he did it the same way too in Escape from New York.
Yeah.
We had that like Mac 10 with a big ass silencer, a big silencer on it. What's wrong with this guy? He just watched the Marvels.
Like, I refrain from making my woke comment here.
He's like, my brain cells.
I think that guy who just notices him and alerts everyone, ain't it?
Yeah. It's just positive bad. You know, like when they're at a party and somebody takes a bad picture.
So I don't go to parties.
They don't take pictures.
Hey, there's one way that I learned if you just really never want to have a bad picture of yourself, you become the photographer. If you're behind the camera, you always look good. Oh, Jacob's having some issues. All right.
All out raccoon assault.
Yeah.
Think so.
Right. Well, we can just break this down. So I don't know. It looks like he had some dental work done recently.
He might be doing Pilates with that stretching routine.
That's some major stretching there.
So, Corey, what did you think of the movie so far up to this point when you were watching it?
Not bad. Entertaining, just interesting. Obviously, building up to finding the colony and making contact with these people, speak a completely different language, and
I do like that they don't translate with subtitles until it is at a point where it's very necessary in order to progress the story, and that all happens later on after,
or until Daniel understands it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that it leaves it alien for us.
Mhm.
So while I was watching this is how my nerd brain thinks. I was like, there was a lot of Egyptians had a lot of slaves, obviously, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that disappeared in history were the lost tribes of Israel. So in my head, I was like, well, did the aliens take them too? You know, it's like,
Right.
You
and
never know.
then that whole idea, they used that again in Battlestar Galactica with
Hmm.
the
I don't think I've actually ever
well,
seen
no, Battlestar Galactica had that
Galactica.
first. It was the 70s.
yeah.
In the open, as a matter of fact, I can, Jacob, Shield, do you have control of the stream too?
I do not. I mean, well, I can do this stuff. I don't know. Maybe I can.
I can play like the opening, like 20 seconds of the speech at the beginning of old Battlestar Galactica. It would be really cool.
Oh,
I think we're just kind of floating in the void for now.
Yeah. Yep. We're in the
Mando's raccoons got out again.
we're in the in between, going through the Stargate. We're in that tunnel.
Yep.
Kind of like
And unfortunately, Jacob's router is the tunnel that
intro
we need to go back through.
to Doctor Who. We're going through the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
I always wondered how they made that, and I thought when I was a kid, I thought they took a camera and just put it down a tube of clay, like they made a clay tube and then shoved a camera down it. So
I mean,
I
that
thought
wasn't
you
the
were gonna-
first time they did something like that.
I thought you were going to go the route of like an endoscope and they stuck it down somebody's throat. I don't know
No,
why my brain went there.
yeah,
At least it's throwing, not the other way.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a family-friendly channel.
no, Roman, we didn't kill Jacob. He's fighting off
The raccoons have
raccoons.
struck again.
He has not
you know-
taken a page out of your book and done the hamster thing yet.
Jacob,
Actually-
can you call that up? I don't know if what I'm sharing.
Oh, this.
So this is the opening. I won't play like 10 seconds of it so I don't get dinged. This is in the opening to Old Battlestar Galactica. This is what it said.
I don't think we can hear it.
No.
Maybe I should subtitle it. Try.
Yeah, there we go. I can see subtitles on it now.
Roman, no.
I'll pause for a second. So this was at the beginning of the episode, other than the initial movie, this speech went off basically.
There we go. This is my topless avatar.
Very nice.
It's actually Grognak the Barbarian from Fallout.
Yeah, and this is the high def remaster of Battlestar Galactica. Beautiful looking, man. Yeah. Look, a black guy.
Look at
Heroic
that
Well.
Colonel Ty. He is so much better than that piece of crap guy from the modern one.
Yep, and then a heroic black guy in a leading role. Who'd have
Yes.
thunk it?
He was professional. I really liked him. I know
Ty was awesome, man.
totally getting off subject here.
Well, we got to wait for Jacob.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
But
I mean, just look at.
have you, if you're still there, Corey, have you seen Battlestar Galactica?
Mm-mm.
There's the great Lauren Green as Adama
Yeah,
with his right
I
hand.
never got into the science fiction stuff.
You like fantasy more, or
I
like cop shows and stuff, or mysteries,
it just varies.
kung fu movies,
It just varies.
Expendables.
There's Richard Hatch as Apollo, and this is his kid. What's his kid's name?
Boxy.
Boxy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a Daggett, which is like a robot
The-
dog. Or
there's the
something.
Daggett.
Yeah, there's a Daggett.
That's the robot. That's the robot Daggett.
Yeah, because his real one died, right?
Yeah, his real one was
Yeah.
slaughtered by the Cylons.
Yeah, that don't look creepy at all.
Yeah, it was like
That was a cool toy. I
can't remember who they had in the suit, or if it was like a monkey or something.
It was a monkey.
It's
Yeah.
Mando.
Monkey.
He's small
Oh,
enough.
there she is.
That's his first wife who dies. If I remember correctly.
That's Jane Seymour.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely like to see more.
So So this is when tying into this. This is when the second episode when they found the home of the Cobalt, the planet Cobalt, is where and the gods, so to speak, their ancestors. You know, this character is funny. The woman
Is that Cassiopeia?
That's Cassiopeia. Yes.
Yeah.
She was a solicitor.
Right, which means, yeah, she was kind of like an escort, but with more skills.
Yes.
Well,
she was widely respected for her role as a solicitor in colonial society.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And that, if I can show it, see that thing on his neck, that symbol? That's his badge as one of the quorum. There was a leader. There was one member of the quorum from every planet. He is not only a member of the quorum, but he was a commander of all the military of all the planets.
Hey, Roman, if you're talking about Stargate, yes, they were Air Force.
Yeah, we're just kind of passing time until Jacob survives the raccoon onslaught there.
Yeah, because he has the. Here we go. Maybe he's back.
This beautiful Battlestar.
He's coming back.
I'm back.
It's just going to be a raccoon looking at us.
It'll be it'll be a raccoon just sitting in his chair. It's like, hello.
Sorry, Jacob. We got off on a tangent talking about some things that devolved into Battlestar Galactica. We were talking about hieroglyphs
you mean evolved into Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah.
It's the same show.
Well, I played the opening, that at the beginning of Battlestar Galactica, Jacob, where they say some people believe that our ancestors came from across the stars.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Also, I went topless on my avatar just to entertain people.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. Yep. That's stuff. Whenever I have to take human form, so I look like barbarian.
It's the same show. That's where they came from. The Stargate, they went through the Stargate. The Greek Stargate,
I would pay money for someone to show a fan edit where the Galactica shows up and just blows Ra's ship away just before it lands.
Or some X-Wing, fighters.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's okay. And he freaks out.
No, I mean,
I don't know why.
He was just literally touched by his god.
Yeah, right. I don't know why, but whenever there's like a something like this where they're meeting a different culture with a different language, it's kind of it's a little cringy a little bit. If you know what I mean.
Well, it was actually, if you know anything about what's that island that has kind of the lore of Tom From? It was a Pacific island that was used as a base during World War II, and it was like, John From, that's right, John From America. And there were a small group of people there who thought that John From was going to return one day, and it's faded out as an actual belief, but they built fake towers and a fake airstrip, and they kind of mimic things, and you end up seeing that with some of these characters in the film where they start mimicking things they don't understand at all. And I think it actually kind of fits for like a completely alien kind of society meeting somebody else.
Especially when you're first trying to communicate.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Roman. I've made you feel even older. I was 2 years old when Stargate came out because I was born in '92.
Which, by the way, Roman, we got to clear this up because we were debating a little bit at the start. When this starts, it's 8000 BC. And there was a little bit of confusion on if you were born that year or graduated high school that year. So if you can clear that up for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Roman actually helped build the Stargate. So.
Oh, wow.
I think that's when Roman joined the military, actually.
Yeah, that's when Roman went to naval boost camp in 8000 BC.
Yeah.
That's when he met his wife.
It's like, it's a Milky Way. Milky Way.
So this guy here, right? his name is where'd it go? Whoop, I just had it. Eric Avari,
Mhm.
and he's Indian from birth, but he's he like lives in America now and stuff. And this dude has been in like so much stuff.
Oh yeah.
He was in The Mummy, 1999. He was in The 13th Warrior as the caravan leader, so he didn't have a big role, but he was in that. He was in the 2001 Planet of Apes. He was in Mr. Deeds.
Yeah.
He was
and he reprised his role in Stargate SG-1 too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he just aged early or what, or if he just stopped aging, but for like 15, 20 years, that guy has looked the same.
Yeah.
He's 71. He was born in 52. Yeah, well, he lost his hair early, and then so he always was like a balding guy, even when he was younger.
Oh, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
He was in the Star Trek Next Generation episode with Spock. The unification, either part 1 or part 2 unification.
Yeah.
I thought I recognized him when I saw him. I'm like, I know I've seen him in a movie somewhere, and I looked him up. I'm like, oh.
He also he voiced Master Rahul in Destiny 1 and 2. If you've ever played that game.
And he was in Babylon 5. What was the episode? It was right after. It was right before Hour of the Wolf. I don't remember how far before, but he played like a priest or something in that episode.
Yeah, he was into Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But anyway, he's been in tons and tons of stuff. Yep, Babylon 5. Yeah. He was Rabbi Leo Myers in Babylon 5.
I don't remember the name. I know he was a priest. It was like 2 episodes or 4 episodes before Zahadum. That one I remember.
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those people where if somebody says, "Where have I seen him before?" your answer is everything.
He's done.
Yes.
It's yes. It's like, where have I seen him? Yes.
Yes.
He's kind of he was in The Mentalist. Man, this guy, he's in everything. He's semi-retired now though, so like he probably doesn't do a bunch of stuff anymore. I mean, unless it's like really big to bring him out. But he was in
I think he was in more of Emmerich's movies. Independence Day.
Yeah, he was in Independence
Godzilla,
Day. Yeah, he was in Godzilla. He was in let's see, Planet of the Apes. He was in Encino Man.
Yeah.
He was in, let's see, Hachi, A Dog's Tale. He was like the hot dog vendor dude in that. Let's see, he was in Paul Blart, Mall Cop. Charlie Watson's War, Postal.
I love this. He's like, they're not coming back. Like, they're never coming back.
He was in the 2003 Daredevil movie.
Huh.
Yeah. Home Alone 4.
Yeah, some of these guys are all over the place, and like you see them in everything. You know what I mean?
And they're not major parts, but the parts that they do play in the as a supporting or actors and stuff is some of them are more iconic, like Danny Trejo. You see him in so much stuff, but he's almost never the lead.
Well, it's like John Rhys Davies. He had only like 2 or 3 leading roles, John Rhys Davies, but was a background character or a supporting character in tons and tons of stuff.
Right, exactly. So, and then, their city was pretty cool. You go to their city here.
Yeah. Looks like an ancient city, too. It's cool.
I'm curious where they got the logs that were that size to make a door. They would have had to drag those from a long way away.
Through the Stargate.
Yeah, maybe maybe they got
him
through the Stargate. Yeah.
The guy who plays Skara, that's the kid there, by the way. He comes back for the TV show too.
He kind of looks like the one kid. He's kind of weird looking. He kind of looks like the feral kid from Mad Max, the kid with the boomerang.
Oh,
yeah,
but he's not.
Yeah, the kind of simpleton kid in this.
Yeah.
He was in Babylon 5. He was like a psychic, a powerful psychic or something.
Oh, really?
One of the telepaths.
Yeah, one of the telepaths.
Wait, what are you talking about, Roman? It's semi-retired, not the same thing. Yeah, Road Warrior. That's what I was talking about. I had it in my head, and I was starting to talk about it, and then it just.
Well, you were talking about Mad Max 2. There you go.
Right. Yeah. Mad Max 2 Road Warrior. Yeah, this kid looks like he's missing a couple of brain cells.
You ate too many paint chips.
Yeah. It's from working in the mine, you know.
That could be. Who knows?
Well, they are mining by hand a highly radioactive element, just to point out.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's
Because it's what the stuff that
sandstorm
he
too,
uses for all their technology, right?
right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they call it in the show. It's Nakoda and the Quadria, the two things, but I don't know if they call it that in the movie. I don't remember offhand.
No, they never name. They just say the
Yeah,
mineral
they
that they're
never
mining.
name
They
it.
never name it. They also never name the alien race.
Yeah.
I do like
Yeah.
that they set up so much stuff, but left it open for other things to happen in that universe, even if the TV show ended up changing a bunch of things.
In the movie, Ra's the last of his race.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he looks more like a gray alien, you know, the gray.
Yeah.
With the
He does.
Come on, where is it? There it is. It's like, oh look, it's a lizard. Yum.
Now, in the show, the setup was that Ra was like ruling the goal of an iron fist, which is why they didn't mess with anyone or never went back to Earth. Because Ra was, but when he died, that's what set everything in motion, so to speak. All the gold, silver wars, and all that.
Right. Yeah, it caused a power vacuum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tastes like chicken.
Mm-hmm. You start doing a chicken motion.
Yeah, and then they try to communicate with writing, and they're forbidden from writing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, exactly, because that's how you suppress people is you don't let them be educated.
There's no education.
Well, yeah, as soon as people can start reading and writing and passing things on. But, you know, people have done it for thousands of years verbally anyway, through oral tradition.
Oh yeah, they dragged Daniel off to get his mani-pedi.
Yeah.
Well, because
Get
he had
married.
again, this goes back to he had the necklace.
Right.
So they associate him with being the person in power, and everyone around him that came with him are his underlings, and therefore he must be given special treatment.
Yeah.
The royal treatment.
Yeah. Yep. So
She is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and they thought he was rejecting her.
Right.
That's some special treatment because I don't know if it's established in the film, but at least in the TV canon, she is the daughter of that guy.
this
So
is
he's-
in the
yeah.
movie. She's
His
his
own
daughter in
daughter.
the movie, and
Yeah.
that's why he gives her to him. Is that it's his daughter? So it's
Mhm.
like almost biblical.
Yeah.
And that dude's in charge of the whole thing,
Right,
right?
yeah, he's the
Yeah,
village
yeah.
elder, leader, whatever. So it's his responsibility to make sure that everything is taken care of. So he's going to make sure that he's taken care of. And, but, you know, being the guy that he is, he's like, whoa, wait a second. I don't want to.
And they get in the show, they get married, and she has a rather sad end.
Oh, and that Roman, that's Cajun Corey is with us too.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't recognize my voice, Roman?
He can't hear either. He's got to turn his
Yeah.
hearing aids up.
Probably forgot to charge his hearing aids.
Let me put my hearing aids powered by Naquid in my ear. Yeah. That's better.
Well, he upgraded from that old horn thing you used to have to hold in your ear.
So then he figures out she's seen these symbols before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Wait, you mean this movie has an intelligent, capable woman back then?
No.
What?
And also the local people are very diverse too.
Wait a minute, but she's not a girl boss, so Confused.
It's
Yeah,
not,
but did they have any non-binary people in this movie? I got it.
I mean, they got Raw.
yeah, I was gonna
technically.
say.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
been in some
yeah,
other stuff.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, this is the
this reveal too is really good.
yeah.
The way that it's shot with the shadow and
Oh,
the
yeah.
light, it kind of reminded me almost of like Aliens in a way.
I don't know if y'all noticed this, but as the ship is landing, I could hear the T-Rex from Jurassic Park roaring. Did you hear that? Did any of y'all pick up on that?
I
It's
didn't,
the
but I wouldn't be
exact same
surprised. I
sound.
heard a lot of sound effects that are very stock sound effects that I've heard in other movies and in video games.
Yeah.
They were digging up everything.
Well, I think a lot of times they use those sounds for expediency and economy, but they also use them now for Easter eggs. So people
Yeah.
can be like,
Mhm.
oh, it's what's that thing called? The scream that the guy makes when
Wilhelm.
he falls. Yeah, the Wilhelm scream. Yep.
So this scene right here, when they're all freaking out, count how many times they cock their guns.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, stop!
It's
You're
like you see a guy
giving
do
away
it,
your position.
and he turns a corner. He doesn't even move his hand up to the charging handle, and you hear it again. That's just the sound guns make when you point them at people.
Yeah,
Ugh.
if you cock the gun more than once, it's going to eject a shell.
Yes.
So a cartridge, yeah.
Like I know that doesn't bother most people, especially with older movies like this. I kind of laugh it off.
It's kind of
but
hard to watch
once you
older
notice it,
movies. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Never
like I mentioned
unsee
earlier,
it.
how they're holding the gun and
Hey, look at
going
these
around,
guys. Finger on the trigger.
yeah,
trigger
pointing at
display.
people. Like, dude, come on.
I thought these guys were
Although-
cool when they
Oh, yeah.
first showed up.
I really like the practical effects of the masks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, and we
Can't
do
help
see
it.
some of these masks in the TV series too.
Yeah.
Have a good
See you,
one,
buddy.
Roman.
Later,
Bye,
Roman.
Roman.
Here, Roman. Don't forget to charge your hearing aids.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
This is
be sure to wash out your glass eye. Yeah.
this is weird kind of when you think about it, because it's just almost like a surrogate father-son thing. Like he's starting to like make a connection having lost his kid, but he's also treating him kind of almost like an equal, like by just handing over cigarettes and things like that.
And you would
And they-
never see that scene today. Ever.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I know. They would just be vaping instead.
And they really flesh out this kind of mentor-mentee relationship in the show. But I mean, even without knowing all that, I think it works. I like it.
And he's like, "Oh, let's play with the gun."
Pew,
Yeah.
pew.
And then a completely understandable reaction, not just from a responsible gun
I would do
owner
that.
and user, but from somebody who recently went through what he went through. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that even. If
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So this was interesting too. It is an ancient dialect they're speaking of Egyptian, but it hadn't been spoken in a long time, so he can't really pronounce it properly until he hears it.
Mhm.
I thought that was
Yep.
a cool touch.
I mean, that's the way it is with like real world ancient religions. If there's nobody around that can speak it, nobody really knows how it's supposed to sound. You can translate it in writing, but you can't really say it out loud.
Well, he has a real reason to want to learn the language.
Right.
Because,
Right.
and I'm not referring to translating the runes. I'm talking about getting with the girl. So
Oh yeah, that's true.
that doesn't motivate you to learn a language faster than that.
Well, see, you're seeing that now, and I don't think that he even saw that as much of a possibility until later on when he finds out what he actually just went through and that ceremonial giving of her to him.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
I get that, but still, I mean,
he's still
who
just
wouldn't
so
wanna learn a language from her?
well. Yes, I love the idea that they came up with, like the practicality for something that would resemble a real
Sarcophagus.
Earth sarcophagus.
Yeah.
And how they based the lore of the sarcophagus. Like, in other words, if we really came from aliens, like in the show, that regenerating after the sarcophagus would have been like, remember how the whole premise was you would be mummified and your organs would be prepared for the next life type
Yeah.
of thing. So that was pretty nifty how they tied the regenerative lore into the sort of mythology.
hmm
Yeah. I love how they expand on it too in the series.
Yeah.
There's one episode where O'Neill is like captured and they're torturing him. And every time he dies, they just bring him back.
Yep. And they make the
Torture, I think
sarcophagus addictive, and it twists the people if they do it too many times.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of the things that was happening to Daniel, was he was going through it too many times and it was making him crazy. If I recall one of the episodes correctly. And that's also why the Goa'uld were becoming like tyrannical and unstable, because they were
Yeah.
using it for so long. Anubis, I think, wasn't that his name? Or it was the other guy.
Well, Anubis.
Was it? It was the main bad guy for like the first 3
Oh.
seasons.
It was
Yeah.
That's Apophis.
Apophis, that's it.
Apophis,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was going crazy from using the thing for because he was one of the older Goa'ulds.
Yeah.
He
He was
had
going
the same
crazy.
body since
But they were always evil to begin with.
right, but he was like unstable,
Yeah.
you know, a certain Austrian painter on all kinds of methamphetamines.
With rare exceptions, right? They did depict a couple of Goa'uld who weren't maniacally evil and who ruled somewhat benevolently, like one of the Babylonian gods, I think, eventually. And obviously, there's the ones who were the rebel faction of the Goa'uld. Whatever, beyond the point of this. But
the Tok'ra, I think.
The Tok'ra, yeah.
The Tok'ra, yeah.
But they started evil and went to become crazy evil, you know. So
Not to be confused with Okra.
Yeah. If anybody in the audience has not watched the Stargate movie or the Stargate series, I highly recommend all of it to you.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, it's all good.
So knowing what Matt said earlier about just the level of intellect that Jackson has over so many things, it makes it a lot easier to just kind of understand that he picked up a language that has long been dead. And I mean, as he says to O'Neill, he's like, well, once you learn the vowels.
Yeah.
Well,
Once you learn the vowels, you got it.
right, because because it was similar to, like, some languages have tiebacks. Like if
Right.
you go to Old English, there's still some words that you can figure out.
But yeah, like I said, that's kind of like that lends itself to what Matt was saying about him having so many other languages in his head that he can draw from. So when he starts seeing the similarities, it makes a lot more sense than it just being he learned a dead language in 15 minutes because she was pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's more believable. That's how it works. That's the power of it, man.
Yeah. Daniel Jackson kept the languages, but lost all like the physics and chemistry and math and all that part of it.
Yeah, and he's smart enough to figure it out,
So this is what he's got the tablet with the 6 symbols, but not the 7th, right?
Right. It's worn off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he clears the sand and the bottom is falling off.
Right.
Yeah. At least this time they ducked a little bit.
Yeah. And that pyramid's really cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like the ship. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Cool concept.
That was one of the things they did well on the show, where the goal will fly around a giant flying pyramid, blowing stuff up.
Yeah. And then was Was it Apophis or one of the guys had the big super ship?
That was
That was
Anubis.
Anubis,
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, although I've been trying to stay away from the show stuff. It always annoyed me that most of their ships were not actually pyramids. They were three-sided, like triangular prisms. And
Yeah.
that meant they could not actually physically land on an actual pyramid like they were shown in the show doing so many
Yeah.
times. Made my nerd brain kind of twitch.
Yeah.
But they do. There's one episode. I think it's the episode with they like go to the Thor's planet, and it does show the pyramids landing. But
Yeah,
I
they're
don't think
trying to
it
invade,
didn't-
and they turn the defenses back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, the goal were parasites, technology parasites in the show.
So your mini nuclear bomb missing, that's kind of a big uh-oh, right?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
No biggie.
I thought that this teleportation thing was kind of cool.
The ring transport's a great way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because it wasn't as all powerful as like a regular transporter. Like you had to go to the rings and
Yeah.
it did its thing.
It's like the transmat in Doctor Who. Always had to go to a station.
Right. Yep. Yeah, this part was cool where it would like
Yeah.
break down
If
and then
you
you had
if
the
you
moon
notice
and
the moons in the background, it's
Yeah.
our moon just turned.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
I could tell. Yeah, it was like they didn't put a lot of effort into it.
No.
Like to see the one on the right, the small one on the right of the screen. If you
Mhm.
look at it has like the black shape in there. If you look at it from upside down, it looks like it has bunny ears and a body on it. I don't know if you can see that. Also, the one on the smaller one in the background to the left
Has the
above
screaming
the-
face.
Yeah. Well, that has so we see a face, but the Japanese see a rabbit on there because he got the ears. So that's
yeah,
why.
that was part of Chinese mythology too. Chang'e and her white rabbit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So they see a rabbit on there instead.
Yeah.
More geeking out nerd stuff.
Yeah.
I have to actually thank a video game for teaching me that.
Yeah.
Oh,
There was the old,
And the Matrix too.
If you remember, speaking of the moon and the rabbit, remember in Naruto Kaguya from the Tale of the Something Cutter, the Moon Princess Kaguya in
Mhm.
mythology.
Yep.
Yeah. So, although one more thing about the moons, this is a little science nerding, but so those moons, presumably they're the size of the Earth's moon and Abydos are the size of Earth, we should see tidal forces on the sand with that many moons. Like,
That'd
there
be
should be
cool.
like waves in the sand.
I thought this part was really cool, like the entrance with the it's got the guards and how everything looks in here. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then this reveal. I mean, obviously it was dudes in there, but
I didn't realize one of these guys is Jimon Hansu.
Yeah.
He's Horus. Yeah.
Jaffa, Kree. Can't help that.
So I did stumble onto a trivia thing earlier today too that said that having so much skin showing on these persons of a particular age, it was intentionally designed to make the audience uncomfortable, and I think it worked.
Yeah, it worked. Oh yeah, it did work.
oh yeah, nowadays there'd be like, oh my god.
And the guy that plays Ra too kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, that's because of the movie he was in right before this.
Which apparently he hated that experience so much that when he was offered this, he demanded $1 million, thinking nobody would dare pay him, and they said okay.
Yeah, he was like, what? Yeah, they gave him $1 million to do this, and then he promptly retired from acting. He went back to modeling. But
that reminds me of an anecdote which doesn't directly relate, but the $1 million thing, it's cool and you guys will find it interesting. You guys remember Windows 95? And
Yes.
so there was a song from Rolling Stones they used called "Start Me Up" for that, which is a Rolling Stones song. And Mick Jagger did not want to have any of his music used commercially. So when Bill Gates came to ask him for it, Jagger was like, I'll pick some ridiculous number that no one could afford to pay. And he said, you want my song? It's like $20 million or whatever. not knowing that Bill Gates has that carry around in his pocket. So
Oh,
so
no.
the money, people don't know about money. That's the thing with $1 million. Like some people ask for an amount of money thinking no one will pay it, and then someone does, and you're like stuck.
Like, oh well, oops.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I liked the interior of the ship. I thought the ship was cool. I thought like how they all dressed was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and like the disparity between like how these people lived, because this looks like some of those mud cities that you see in Yemen these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like the
we
little
kinda just-
gliders too.
The death gliders. We kind of just breezed over it. That previously was where they shot Daniel, right? And then they
Right,
tossed
they
O'Neill
shot
in the
him.
pit, and everybody
Yeah.
thinks Daniel's gone. Okay, yeah.
right. Yes, yeah. And then these guys are coming out to punish the villagers, like fly
Mhm.
around and kill
Right.
a bunch of them.
Fear and intimidation.
Yep.
And execution. Yeah, and now we start getting the subtitles.
Mhm.
Because now we speak the language.
Been there. How many times? Never mind. That was gonna make a really bad joke. Just gonna let that one go, and y'all are gonna have to wonder what it was. Something about
And
a
he's
morning
got-
resurrection.
Oh, okay. And they've got cats everywhere too.
Of course.
Ra doesn't
Meow.
have much of a social life.
No, he's a cat lover.
well, one thing that the
I
show.
mean, in Egyptian culture, like cats were.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Is-
they were.
Hmm.
One thing
Kinda
that the
like
show kind of helped with, when we're going through, like, what is Rod's actual motivation for being evil? You know what I mean? Like wanting to survive is one thing, right? But it's like he goes out of his way to check off the stuff on the evil overlord list throughout this entire movie, oppress the people for no apparent reason, try to manipulate the enemies, offering the power. Like just goes right down the list, and you're like, why is he even bothering with all that? You know what I mean? He just needs a body to be immortal. He has this superpowered ship. Like, why does he need to enslave them for Naquadia, right?
Yeah.
But the show did a nice job expanding on that and giving some sort of context. Like I had to suppress the other Goa'ulds, basically.
Well, the other thing
Yeah.
is in this, he's the last of his kind. So there's nobody
Yeah.
else to really, other than humans or whatever races are out there to socialize with. Whereas in the show, it was a network of them. There was like a whole government and an ecosystem and all this. So he needed, there was incentive to interact and do
Yeah.
stuff. Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He has no incentive to interact here other than just occasionally needing a new body. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Well,
Right.
from just this movie universe, you could kind of look at it like sort of the narcissistic sociopath torturing animals for fun. He doesn't see humans as people.
Yeah.
He sees them as things,
Livestock.
and
Well, that's
so
the other,
he's just kind of a sociopath or a psychopath, just inflicting pain and like hoarding power.
and the other thing
Right.
is that he is an alien. So what we think of as these negative things might actually just be, part of
Yeah.
Normal
what
for
he
him.
does. I know.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not trying to excuse it or anything, but what his perception of it might not be the same as ours.
There can be only
Shieldwall is a Ra apologist. You heard it here.
Yeah,
folks.
exactly. I do
Mhm.
sound like one, don't I? It was because he had a bad childhood.
So he explains that he's going to send back the bomb with some of the mineral.
Yeah, make it more potent and explosive.
Yeah.
And he's also going to prove to the people that he's a god by having Daniel kill his friends. This scene is added in the director's cut, right?
Yeah. I
some
think
of
so.
it.
Okay. It's been so long since I saw the original theatrical cut. I can't remember.
I haven't watched the theatrical, I think, in this century.
That's cool too.
That's a statement. I haven't watched this movie in this century.
I watched the extended edition of it.
I like this. Using his gift to signal. I mean, if you have Chekhov's gun, I guess that's Chekhov's lighter.
O'Neill must have like 10 gallons of hairspray in his hair.
Yeah, he made a hair helmet.
Like not even that desert sandstorm messed it up.
Now, I didn't get who was this that died. It was one of the other guys, right? Because there's another guy that looks like the guy from Third Rock.
Yeah, I think this is Freeman, and I would always hope that it's Ferretti, but it's never Ferretti, which is French Stewart.
I think he survived.
Yeah, because he's got to get through the end where he snarkily says, "I knew you'd get us home."
Mm-hmm.
This is a great escape sequence, though.
You all along. Sure you did.
And what does he say? It's like they're not exactly special forces.
Yeah. Then he explains why with the bomb that he was supposed to see if there was anything dangerous, and if there was, to nuke it.
And his first hint that he wasn't going to come back.
Oh, and that's why they picked him, is because
he was willing to die in the
right, because of how he was feeling mentally. Okay, yeah.
But luckily, the hairspray in his head cured him of that.
I don't know if necessarily the plan was for him to stay from like the top brass, because the bomb has a timer on it. I think in his head, he always planned to stay.
Right.
Yeah.
But
well, I think the logic was if the timer didn't work, he would stay to do it. They knew
he was going to manually detonate it, and he
was going to make sure that the job got done.
Yes, he kills one of his guys for failing to find them. It's like, you could have just, torched him a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's his way of saying you're fired.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the movie.
We are letting you go.
Literally, of your life.
Oh, yeah, and this is where they have that the gauntlet thing. They had that in the show a lot too.
Yeah, the hand device.
Yeah.
Like I said, even though I love the movie, but you kind of have to wonder at Roz, like how he survived so long if he's that crazy,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like, unless he can just go recruit these guys from another planet or something, you just killed off one of your only soldiers.
Yeah, because it was only God. Remember, these are the ones who were with them as the gods. Like these aren't like you know what I mean?
Oh, they're not.
You know, like he has a whole planet full of Jaffa in the show. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they aren't like there's a whole Jaffa homeworld, Kretak, whatever, and
so,
like Chulak, yeah, and like all the gold go farm the Jaffa from. Here he has these guys who are like his gods, and I guess when one of them dies, he finds a one to recruit to be the new Anubis or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, here we've got the Skara Ex Machina, where he happens to. And I know they've been going through there where all the writings are, so I'm assuming he saw that. He's not so dumb, Shieldwall. Yeah, I'm assuming he saw it somewhere in there, and he's kind of just mimicking what he's seen. But it's basically the Earth symbol, which had one moon with 3 moons.
Right. Well, because he saw the shot with the moons above the pyramid. And at this point, he already wants to get with her, right? So, obviously it's a bonus to his intelligence.
Well, at this point, I think he probably already has, because he discovered that they're married and they just kind of insinuate. I mean, if you're going into a battle where you think you're not going to get out alive, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then they figure out, these are just men.
Mm-hmm. And that's when they realize they've been lied to,
And that would really upset a culture. That would throw all of the wrenches into the works.
Yeah.
All of them.
Oh, you mean if you find out that something you've been told all your life is a lie? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just like told, but physically demonstrated right in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great scene. What does Kurt Russell? What does O'Neill say when his hood gets pulled off? Like, "How you doing?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get the one-liner in before he fills the dude's guts full of lead.
Well, that's the other thing is that they're used to dealing with people with either no weapons or like maybe clubs
How you
and
doing?
sticks and
Okay.
swords, maybe.
How
at
you
the most.
doing?
I just realized he had the cover of his head match his hairstyle.
Yeah. It's like, that hairstyle, does it look like the natives here?
Where have I seen it before?
Rod does not approve of that hairstyle. Only Rod may use $10,000 of hair product in his hair. It's like, no, you may not use hair product and you may not learn to read. Those are Rod's rules.
Yeah, well, a lot of hierarchical societies had like dress codes and hairstyle things, and like the Mongols did that.
Well, that's why Rod wants all that Nakoda. He's making super hair gel with it. Powered hair gel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there are cultures throughout time that have had specific, like where your status was in societies. You had to dress a certain way or wear your hair a certain way.
I mean, there was the Russian beard tax where you had to have government authority or approval to have a beard.
Yeah, and what's her name? One of the queens of England didn't like beards. She made it illegal, punishable by death.
Welcome back.
Clearly
My
I would die
interwebs
from
was
that.
just like,
There's a raccoon commando.
It's a raccoon.
the raccoons.
Don't worry, I'm just going to turn this
Raccoon.
on to check the functionality. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Yeah. no.
Right.
And I have to say, they did a pretty good job. It's like 7 minutes, but they went over like 15 seconds.
I want to see a movie where the timer on that thing is actually like realistic in what the movie is doing. Because always they're like, "Oh, we've got a minute to close up," and then 15 minutes transpires. They're having long
Right.
conversations and
Like you have
wandering
7
around.
minutes and the bomb's going to blow up, and then 25 minutes later, it finally does.
Well,
They're using
Right.
Dragon Ball Z time, where 5 minutes,
It's
15
been
episodes.
5 episodes just powering up.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Or
God, I
they're
saw a meme about that. the
or
other
they're
day.
like
It's pretty
Screaming the
funny.
entire time.
they're like, "You need to be there in 30 minutes."
Ah!
And
You
they
look
live in like the
constipated.
Hollywood Hills, and they got to go downtown. And I'm like, with traffic, that's at least an hour drive minimum, unless you got a helicopter or something.
Yeah.
So, you know what I
So
mean?
she
I just
gets
want to see
shot.
some realistic time stuff.
So this would be good opportunity for Daniel Jones to start powering up. Raw, I've had enough. Going there.
Ah.
Blah.
I love this part too.
Yeah.
The rings are activated, and
Daniel jumps into action.
and O'Neill comes up. Is like, "What are you doing?" And he looks back at the bomb and looks back, and it's the Anubis guy.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Yeah, he decided he's going to take her to the thing to get her rescued.
Right.
I cannot let you die. Let me die. No.
4 minutes.
No.
And just as an addendum to the timer being realistic, those seconds were going way too fast on that timer.
Not if, like Matt was saying, they got screwed up going through the gate,
Oh, good point.
which was this whole point of why you don't want to send one through there like that.
This poor
Well,
guy.
remember, the electronic monitoring device got screwed up going to the gate. Remember that? Like,
Oh
at the
yeah,
beginning.
that's
That's
right there
true.
in the plot.
So does it mean all the innocent slaves on Ra's ship get killed too?
Yes.
Yeah, but you know,
Whatever. You know, you got, what does that say? You got to break a few whatevers to get rid of the.
Break a few eggs to get an omelet.
Yeah. I have defeated Ra and all your cousins that were up there, but we defeated Ra.
I know all of your cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents were on that, but he's gone.
So Ross sees him and gets the little thing out.
I mean, is it ever stated that this is the only planet that has humans on it besides Earth?
I think it's
in the movie?
insinuated in as far as the movie is concerned, because the home symbols are so identical and things like that. But they don't really explicitly say that there are not other planets. So
I'm not sure if this. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was reading that initially they wanted to do 3 movies out of this. So
yeah, because they want to do a
probably
trilogy. Like a reboot. They still want to do a trilogy reboot of the series with Emmerich and Devlin, which no one wants to see.
No. Why would you
No,
reboot
don't
it?
do
The
it.
series is perfect.
It's too late.
Devlin
It's too
and
late
Emmerich
to reboot.
Devlin and
them.
Emmerich hate the series.
Wait, we got to reboot it because that's one thing they know how to do.
Right.
No,
Yeah,
Devlin and
right.
Emmerich hate the series. They hate it completely.
Why? The series is way better than the movie.
I agree, but they hate it.
Yep.
Give my regards to King Tut right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no.
beams up to just his head.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get the trinket back.
And he rolled into the ring too.
I'm pretty sure the cut where you see the actual severed head wasn't in the theatrical.
No, it
I
wasn't.
seem to remember
I
it being
don't
very
think so.
insinuated but never
Was this a
shown.
PG or PG-13?
It was PG-13,
PG-13.
and I think all you saw was like the arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't.
And you
it
see,
did-
and
it
you
just
see
showed-
I don't
Shari's
know.
reaction whenever she stands up.
I don't know which version I watched. It was on Tubi, but it did show the head.
Well, TV doesn't care. They would show anything about the 90s.
Yeah.
Ah,
And
yes.
then there's an uprising.
I have the power.
What's up, CLS?
And the Fremen rise over the ridge and take out their enemy.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, I know as far as Roland Emmerich's stuff, the spectacle in this film is muted to say the least. But the guy knows how to do big shots like that with the entire ridge covered with extras and practical explosives in the sand. It makes the scene so much better.
Yep. No more Raw. Bye-bye.
The bomb comes through with a big old sticker that says "Return to Sender."
Mhm.
So
I'm
do y'all
not sure
think?
they wouldn't have all been blinded by that explosion permanently.
Yeah. Do y'all think George Lucas saw this and went in and added it to to the Death Star blowing up?
The shockwave.
A hot take for me, but I hate the updated 97 version of the Death Star blowing up. It's garbage.
Yeah, me too.
The original one was way better.
Yeah.
Well, what I heard, and this is what I heard about Lucas in that shot, was that someone pointed out that everyone on the planet should have been irradiated to death by the explosion. And he wanted to make it change to make it look like the radiation didn't go to the planet. That's
That's just
why he made it. I don't know, but That was in his head for why he made it look like it went away from the planet.
I mean,
It should-
when you watch Star Wars, you do put a little bit of believability out the window. So
Mhm.
he didn't need.
I
to
would
change
agree, but
that.
Lucas is weird about stuff like that.
Yeah, he is. He is. So they won.
Like
Oh, yeah.
in the prequel trilogy, when someone asked why Anakin has a scar on his face in the second movie, he said, like, watch the Clone Wars, it'll be there eventually. Like he meant it up on the spot. Like that, you know.
Right, that's when he says, like, "Oh, I believe you can get us back." No, you didn't.
This movie really doesn't like overstay its welcome. It's like, all right, we're done. That's it. Credits.
Like, I'm going home. He's going to stay. Bye. The end.
And you actually get a smile out of Jack O'Neill. I think that's the first time in the entire film.
Well, I think Scar was good for him as a character. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You got to relate with a younger guy, be a mentor again, what he lost with his kid, you know.
And there she blows. That's it.
And ending with the Stargate transport series or sequence. Good choice.
Yeah.
So, an interesting thing about the show to the movie to the show. So, if you remember, there were no other gold or whatever in the show, right? Now, in the lore, Atum Ra, and if you ever watched the movie Gods of Egypt, which was badly written, but got a bit of the lore quite right, like how Ra would fight a pep in the sky and all that. Ra in the show version was keeping all of the other Goa'uld at bay, and what were all the other Goa'uld? Snakes. So Ra, the god in Egyptian mythology, kept the great snake Apep from consuming everything. I thought that was a nifty sort of thing they did with the lore change, where they made that Ra was keeping them all at bay, and he wasn't a snake like the rest of them. He was a different type of alien, you know.
That's interesting.
Glad you enjoyed it, Molly's. Glad you could join us here.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here, everybody. This was I like this movie. When I saw it, it has rewatchability. I mean, not like every day or anything, but every couple of years, if it comes on TV, like randomly, I'd watch it from wherever it was. So it's that kind of good movie, and that's how I rate a movie if it's good, if I want to see it again.
Yeah, well, it predates I'm going to say it's from the next 10 years after this movie that the horrible padding of movies started, where like hour and a half movies became 2 hour movie just because they would just pad it with more runtime scenes or whatever, you know, like sometime around after this movie, but before the year 2006 or 7, that 10-year period is when they started. You guys have heard my rant with like all the old movies and the padding and all that. How everything is like so long now and it doesn't need to be all these movies and books.
God, yes, I made movies 2 hours again.
Yeah, either that or they need to bring back intermissions and cigarette breaks.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know if this is true or not, but I read somewhere that Independence Day, the original script, was Stargate 2.
Have a good one, Molly's.
I had heard that.
Later, Molly.
I can't confirm that's true. I had heard that back in the day, but we didn't have the internet back then. Well, we did have the internet, those who can access it to, but we would have like Starlog and Fangoria and other magazines like that for information about this sort of stuff. So I remember seeing that kind of in the rumor columns, but I never saw any interviews or whatever that confirmed that.
Yeah.
So for Cannoli's question, Cajun, what do you rate this movie?
6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Good movie. I'm don't know if I'm ever going to rewatch it, but enjoy it. But like I said, not the greatest, but I do understand why people do enjoy it. And was it boring?
So you didn't feel like you wasted your time watching it?
Nah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What about you, Mando?
I give it an 8.
Okay. What about you, Beard? What do you give it?
I'm kind of torn between 7, 5, and 8. I mean, I think I like it better than it deserves, but it's not. It's definitely not a bad movie. It's ridiculous at times. It's over the top, which at times, which kind of what you expect with Roland Emmerich. And the music like I said before, makes it feel like an old adventure film. Maybe it's because of like my age when I watched it, it just kind of locked itself as a favorite of mine. But yeah, I think if I'm honest with myself, probably a 7.5.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Jacob? What did you?
Yeah, I'd
give it?
say about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about there too. Mainly because of sometimes when you go see a movie and you don't get this much in these days, but back then you had like a theater experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
Right.
popcorn was perfect. The people you went with was great. You were younger. So, the world was like more alive or whatever. And then you wanted to see the movie. There was hype for it. It wasn't, YouTube didn't destroy your passion for it yet. By, you know what I mean? Overshowing and also the trailers didn't give the whole movie away like they do now. So, you want to go see it. And so, yeah, I think that affects my rating a little bit more.
One of the great things about this movie is it ended conclusively.
Right. Yes.
Mhm.
They didn't try to set it up for a sequel.
Yeah, well, if there was going to be a sequel, it wouldn't involve Ra, for example.
Right.
He's dead.
Right.
Yeah.
If he survived that, it would be worthless. Like
Well, let's not be too hasty now.
Yeah.
He could have a chorus of 1,000 clones singing to him in some weird 40K world where he's like lifted up on a crane.
Or he's back. He's back.
Where he survived being thrown down a tunnel that had electricity in it, and the same building being blown up.
Somehow
Ra has
Somehow he's
returned.
back.
Well, he just did a Palpatine and teleported his mind across the galaxy to a well-prepared clone.
That's what he did. A Ra clone.
Well, for whatever flaws this movie has, I think it was way at the beginning of the stream. I think it was Angry Canadian that said it, that this movie walked so that the TV show could run.
Mhm.
So I think this movie, especially if you're a fan of the show, this movie gets more points because of what it set up.
For those trying the TV show, just be aware. I think the first season or two was on Showtime, and it was less sci-fi and more. There was a more cheesy fan service type of stuff.
Yeah.
So just kind of got to get the real sci-fi part of it. Kind of jumps out when it goes. I think maybe the second or third season when it goes over to Sci-Fi Channel, or it goes to Sci-Fi Channel in the fourth or fifth season. But it like the first season was very, I don't want to say cheesy, but it's like a typical sort of cable, little skin type of stuff, But that kind of goes away and becomes very science fiction-y from the second season forward.
Yeah, it has nudity in it, the first episode at least, and Samantha Carter, who's one of the female team members, she's doing this. You guys are holding me down, and kind of trope thing for like a little bit, and then they kind of they get their footing for the show. Basically, they figure out the characters, what they're like. They drop that crap for her, and she becomes like a part of the team and is really good at what she does. But she's not overly good. You know what I mean? Like she's part of the team. She's just like one of the guys as far as competency and stuff. And but she brings her own thing to the team, just like Daniel Jackson does, and O'Neill, and Teal'c. They all have a thing that they're good at on the team, which was what makes the team good. And they can, but they're not all dumb or whatever. So it's a good show.
Yeah, it is.
And with a show, you can take time to learn about the characters and these kinds of things. Where with the movie, I mean, you really learn about, you learn about Daniel, you learn about the Colonel, but really the other characters are just kind of there, in my opinion.
Yeah. In the movie, the only character you really kind of care about, obviously, is Daniel and O'Neill and Skara, basically. Because that's about it.
Right, and maybe Ra.
Well, I mean, you always hate the villain or love to hate the villain or whatever, but I mean, in terms of like who interested in the life of the character per se, Where the show, like I'll be vague about this, even though it's 20 years ago. There's a character that gets killed in the show, who's not a main character, but everyone like cried when she died,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you know what I'm talking about, and they did very well with the show to surprise you with it. So but they did a great job with Stargate and Stargate Atlantis, making you care about the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah, and then of course with Stargate Universe, they say, screw caring about the characters. Let's make them all jerks. It's like
There is a thing that's kind of cool in one of the episodes. They show the creature that the Gould were using as hosts before.
the Unas.
And it's like this big.
The Unas.
Yeah.
They look like that. They look like if you remember the movie Enemy Mine, which is a great science fiction movie from the 80s, everyone should go watch. The alien that Lou Gossett Jr. played, they kind of look like that but bigger.
Yeah.
More menacing.
That was another good movie. Well, he was in there with Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was a surprise movie for me. Like I was like, it looks all right. And but it was a good movie.
Yeah, so that's the premise in the show, is that Ra, and I kept saying, is controlling the other Gould, who are destructive snakes that would consume everything. They're all driven crazy by the regeneration machines, and they originally had Unas as their host because they possessed them, and then Unas got killed off, and then they found humans were more ideal hosts because the humans were re-evolved ancients, which is a whole backlore of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a great show, guys. I'm glad y'all were able to come on. Glad Corey could come on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great being on a stream with you, man.
Yeah, it was. Anybody want to plug anything? Start with Shieldwall.
I'm going to be on Roman's channel on Thursday. What are we doing?
Highlander.
Oh yeah, we're doing Highlander. Yeah, so
that's what we be doing.
Go over the Highlander movie, which is another good one. So we're gonna be doing that, and then that's really all I have kind of teed up for right now. But thanks for having me on, Jacob, and thanks for being here, everybody in the chat. It's always fun to talk about these things, and I mean, you can see that we have to restrain ourselves, or we just go completely nuts with this thing. But anyway, thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah. Corey, I know you don't have a channel, but do you want to?
Not really. I don't. I'm using different chats, so.
Okay. Mando.
I will also be on the Thursday stream with the Roman of the Empire talking about the Highlander. I'm not sure about Literary Souls this Saturday. It's a tentative, maybe yes. Especially with holiday season coming up. I don't know what it's going to look like on Saturdays. And then this upcoming Monday, I will once again be streaming Dungeons and Dragons on my Kick channel, where we are pirates, and somehow they've made me the captain of the pirate crew, but nobody wants to listen to me. So.
Oh yeah, well that ship is doomed.
Yeah. Yeah. We had our first death of the party, so.
Was it from drinking too much rum?
No, it was because
you crashed into the rocks and they died.
Got eaten by the Kraken.
No, our bard decided it was a good idea to steal from the captain, who had a pistol.
Wait, so you're saying that you were the reason for the death?
Yes, I am.
This is what you get for not listening to me.
Basically, I was just like, you know what, I'm done.
That's why Mando's don't need to be in Boston in real life.
Matt, what do you got? Come.
Well, Jacob and I just did a stream 2 days ago. Was it, Jacob? 3 days ago? With,
Saturday.
About John Ford's John Wayne movies, plus some other John Ford related stuff. Learned and we knew this, but when we look back over his work, so many of the early films for anyone from the 1900 to like 1930 of all these old films that were lost, it's kind of a tragedy. But anyway,
yeah.
So that if you also go listen to that stream, it was really cool. And now I got this Thursday. We have there's only one stream to be on Thursday, which is Roman's stream with Highlander, which is one of my two favorite movies, along with Transformers the movie. Both came out in the same year. I can have in the past talked about Highlander for over 15 hours once. So I love that. That's how much I love that movie and that franchise. You know,
Yeah.
What else is coming up? So I'm probably going to start up a regular 1 hour Friday afternoon little podcast. Just talking about some comic book stuff and some articles and whatever. Not going to be long, 1 hour. So anyone interested being on it, let me know. I'm just going to put between 3 and 4. I'll go live for an hour. That'll be starting this Friday. On Saturday, I'm on Jacob's. Who besides you and me, Jacob, is going to be on it? Because Band of Brothers, Shieldwall going to be there?
Technically Mexican, and Zax is going to be on for the first time, so that'll be fun.
Oh, that's
and
cool. Yeah, cool.
I do have room for 2 more if anybody wants to.
Yeah. Saturdays are usually I'm not available.
Okay.
But.
Yeah.
Because it's Band of Brothers, which is in the top 10 all-time TV shows.
I know.
Okay.
But let me see if I can do something about that, because it is Veterans Day on Saturday.
And I know a lot of people younger, like my grandparents fought in World War II, that generation, right? So maybe the next generations down might not have the connection to it that, say, the boomers or the Gen Xers do, because we've lost that entire generation. And in fact, I was going to tell you after they are, Jacob, but I just saw a movie called The Last Rifleman with Pierce Brosnan, which is kind of loosely based on a true story, but it's about I'll don't tell you what the true story is, but he's the last surviving in this movie, the last surviving member of an Irish division from World War II, and he's like 90 years old, and his wife dies, and it's the 70th anniversary of D-Day invasions. So he goes on this trip on his own. He runs away from the nursing home and goes to the 75th anniversary, which is loosely based on a true story of what happened at the 70th anniversary. But it's a really great movie. In the spirit of Band of Brothers, it reminded me, I couldn't help but think of my grandfather and my Uncle Benny and Uncle Frank and all those guys who fought in World War II, with that type of movie. And Band of Brothers are going to be like that. There's so much nostalgia I get with that show. All the stuff, everything that happened in that show, my grandfather has told me stories of things that were like that. You know what I mean? The only thing my grandfather told me is he never got to. He was hit at the Remagen Bridge, which is a famous battle, which we can go to another time. But he said, I never got to those concentration camps, or I would have killed every member of the SS I saw after that, which they were doing before him. So something else that happened, which is a whole other issue. But that show is profound. Like Saving Private Ryan, the World War II guys would tell you that opening sequence reminded them of what they did. The most accurate opening war movie sequence of anything ever, right? But they'll say the whole show of Band of Brothers was like that, like expanded, which makes sense because Spielberg did it too. So it's like he took Saving Private Ryan and just ran with the good parts, So I had to go on up, but that Band of Brothers is just so profound,
Where's that movie that you were talking about, The Last Rifleman? Where's that? Where do you see that at? Like, is that on Netflix or something?
I sailed the high seas for it. I'm going to buy it on Blu-ray, but
okay, I'll just look it up.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon. I think it's Amazon Prime. Yeah. Pierce Brosnan, he's 70 years old.
Okay, so he's in it, right?
Yeah, Pierce.
Okay, I'll be able to look it up just based off of the name and then.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. It just dropped like 3 days ago or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
My grandpa was one of the ones that liberated a concentration camp.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, the spoilery, but the episode when they get to that in Band of Brothers, man.
That's the roughest. Yeah, it's probably the roughest episode.
Yeah, but on a happy note, a week after that, I'll be on Jacob's show. We'll talk about our favorite Thanksgiving movies.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Anything else, Jacob, that we have going
on? Nothing. I'd have to look at a calendar, but I don't think that's it.
I think that's all I signed up for you. I know you have other stuff.
Yeah.
I all I signed up was John Ford, the Band of Brothers, and favorite Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I'm just going to be doing 3 more streams and take off the week of Thanksgiving. So,
okay.
Beard, what do you got coming?
Well, like most of us here, I will also be on with Roman for Highlander on Thursday. And then Saturday, after people watch your stream, they can come over to After the Weekend for our Saturday Weekend Harder stream. We'll talk some pop culture news. We're kind of getting finalizing all the topics there. And we might have a guest. We're trying to cement that. I can't say anything just yet, but we might have a guest on Saturday. And for the entire month of November, we started this past Monday on After the Weekend's Monday shows. I'm joining them every Monday to go over the series 11/22/63. This being the 60th anniversary of the assassination of JFK this month. We're going over that James Franco series from Hulu. It's a great watch. I recommend watching along with us. And so on Monday, we'll be reviewing episodes 3 and 4. So there's still time to catch up.
Yeah, that show looks really good. I'm going to start watching it. Well, for me, Saturday, Band of Brothers. And next Tuesday is All About Eve. It's it shows the cutthroat between actors on stage. It's actually a pretty good movie. Mando's going to be on that one. And who else? Somebody else. But
I think
anyway,
Gord
yeah,
King
so
mentioned that in the chat.
Yeah, Gord King, that's right.
What was the Eve movie about a person with multiple personality? Was it Many Faces of Eve? She had MP, multiple personality disorder. It was a big movie back in like the 70s.
Yeah, that might have been it, right. But yeah, and I won't be on Roman's Highlander stream, which makes me sad, but I will be in the chat. And I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Roman's stream next week is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I think. Isn't that right?
Ooh.
I think that's what he's got teed up. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's a good movie. So
yeah, it is.
Surprisingly good movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Matt. That's a perfect way to put it. If you just saw the people that are in here, you're like, this movie's just going to be kind of okay. Or
I normally don't like movies like that, and I only watched it because I got outvoted by the 10 or 12 of us who went to the movies that day. I was like, God, I want something violent. I don't want to see Steve Martin and John Candy. And like, no, we're voting to go see this movie. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of up there with Uncle Buck for his movies.
Yeah, it is.
So.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys, for being on, and thanks to the chat for hanging with us. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
This is quite pleasant. Pleasant? Oh, the greatest thing I'd like. If you take a bite of it first and then put it in the water. Yes. Guys, I really have to pee. I don't want the food, so do you mind if I just pee in the water? No.